The lead news story on News24's September 11th story splash page is about Roman Cabanac being a Russian agent, not about September 11th and how it changed the world. Hello, folks, and welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports. News24 reignites the attack campaign directed at John Steenhuisen with its bizarre story seeking to delve into Roman Cabanac's views on nuclear energy. That's right, News24 is more concerned about the views of a government employee in the Department of Agriculture, Forestry, and Fisheries than it is about Dr. William Kesey's continued presence in Parliament in spite of the Special Investigative Unit's now 3-year-old evidence of criminal misconduct. Let's delve into this story.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that since Simonstown and Boulders, folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa.
In a fresh story on a stale topic about Roman Cabanac, News24's Karyn Maughan, apparently no longer absorbed by Jacob Zuma, goes to great lengths to impress upon us how important it is to imply that Cabanac is a Russian operative. Honestly, I'm struggling to see how nuclear power relates to farming or forestry, or how Roman Cabanac could be a Russian operative. This story is beneath someone whom I thought was a legitimate journalist. It's embarrassing that she delves into this. This is another South African media report in search of relevance. Now, we've covered this ground previously. Roman Cabanac has been a provocative shit stirrer on Twitter and sought to spark viewership with controversial topics on his Morning Shot program. But based on Karyn Maughan's story, the casual reader would be left with the impression that Cabanac is in the employ of Vladimir Putin or Ross Adam. The article says, the podcaster says he has no regrets about the allegedly bigoted tweets he deleted and denies being a paid pro-Kremlin influencer. First, folks, accuracy in reporting matters. Roman Cabanac is not a podcaster. He is a government employee, a chief of staff for John Steenhuisen. Second, he was a journalist, and he is an attorney. Facts omitted in an intentional effort to belittle his reputation. Now, this is disgraceful coming from Maughan, herself having recently finally fought off bogus claims that she's biased. And third, a paid Kremlin influencer? Seriously? I interviewed the Ukrainian ambassador in Pretoria twice, once remotely and once in person in Pretoria. Does that make me a paid Ukraine influencer? Hardly. Her comment is pure character assassination. Maughan leads off the article commenting on Cabanac's deleted tweets as if that implies something nefarious, quoting Roman stating, I deleted the tweets because I wanted to do my job. I know that tweets are currency in this click-driven media world. I've been on X since 2009. Easier to refresh it. I don't regret anything. Some tweets might have been overly provocative. I've never advocated for hate or violence. I deleted my tweets because one's entire entity is defined by one tweet these days, which is a shame. Now, in a recorded discussion with suspended DA MP Ronaldo Jose, Cabanac also stated that he would like Queen. The only problem is that he's, referring to Freddie Mercury, gay, adding that the singer had died because of it, in apparent reference to Mercury's HIV positive status. Now again, folks, facts matter. Member of Parliament Ronaldo Jose is suspended from DA party activities, not from Parliament, as Maughan leads the reader to infer, based on what she wrote there. She didn't clearly state that he's suspended from party activities. She called him a suspended MP. He's not a suspended MP. Facts matter. Now regarding Freddie Mercury, a tasteless comment indeed, but far from inaccurate. Freddie Mercury died from AIDS-related complications brought on by HIV infection. He didn't acquire his HIV from blood transfusion. Again, it was a tasteless comment, one that shouldn't be made. The article continues. News24 has learned that his apparent support for Russian nuclear agency Rosatom and contention that pro-Kremlin former President Jacob Zuma was owed an apology over the way his leadership had been condemned as corrupt has raised alarm within the opposition party. Apparent support for Rosatom? This should be interesting. The story continues. Those concerns intensified after the Center for Analytics and Behavioral Change, CABIC, not Cabanac, but CABIC, and data consultancy Murmur released a report identifying Cabanac's handle for his Morning Shot podcast as one of the 10 accounts that were most engaged with pro-Russia accounts on X. I presume he means South African accounts, not worldwide. Now, Karyn Maughan fails to mention that Murmur is a virtually unknown data aggregation company with less than a dozen employees that neglects to publicly disclose its ownership structure or investors on its website, so we can hardly determine its objectivity in this report. According to Murmur's LinkedIn profile, Murmur gives clients a bird's eye view of the social and digital landscapes that they find themselves embedded in. We help make sense of the chaos of social media platforms. Make sense of chaos, or do they simply make claims? Now, based on their description of themselves, one would presume that this is a company that helps private corporations figure out how they're being addressed and what people are saying about them in the social media environment. The article continues. Cabanac says his pro-Kremlin activity on X was a result of him interviewing the Russian press attaché within 2 weeks of the invasion of Ukraine. Pro-Kremlin activity? Now, Karyn Maughan does not really establish pro-Kremlin activity in this article, but she still makes the claim. For his part, Roman said, I have never been paid by Russia, Ross Adam, or any other Russian-affiliated organization. The income for the podcast was YouTube AdSense and a few small sponsorships from small businesses. It was never my primary business. Yet the title of this story in News24 is implying that, in fact, Roman Cabanac is a Russian agent. Well, at least News24 had the courtesy to print his response in its attack piece. In his response to questions from News24 about this comment, Cabanac has now said he was not a huge fan of Russian President Vladimir Putin, as he did not believe in suppressing free speech and jailing journalists or political opponents. He does so I cannot support him, Roman said. Now, given this response when News24 actually contacted Roman Cabanac, why did Karyn Maughan and the editor still call Roman Cabanac a Russian operative? Mind you, they did it cleverly, thinking they can avoid a libel lawsuit, but they are very close to the line on this one, folks. Now, to bolster this attack piece, News24 quotes cowardly, well-placed sources who lack the courage or conviction to make their statements when they undermine a government employee by leaving their names attached to it. It is unseemly to have the DA's leader appoint someone who is busy twerking for Putin on social media into that position, one well-placed source within the party told News24. I know that a number of senior leaders are gravely concerned. Really? And I know a number of goat herders who don't give a flying flip what you have to say, you cowardly, senior, well-placed operatives. Actually, that's sarcasm, folks. I no longer know any goat herders, but the point is legitimate. This is, again, character assassination. Because Roman Cabanac, and look, I'm not defending Roman. You know, what he said about Freddie Mercury, that was gratuitous, unnecessary. Many of his tweets, you got to scratch your head on some of his tweets. But he is a provocateur, as the French would say, provocateur. And that's what he does. And that's what he was doing in that space. But this entire article is character assassination, and it's below a legitimate media organization and below a journalist of Karyn Maughan's stature. Is it a slow news day in South Africa on Wednesday, September 11th? One has to wonder where the priorities are at News24. Or is it really, as many affectionately call it, Propaganda 24? You decide. What say you? Thanks a lot, folks. We'll catch you next time. God bless and be safe out there.